She sat on the human for fun, but the alien girl had no idea what she started. The lecture hall buzzed with nervous energy, the kind that only existed on the first day of the semester at Harmony Station University, Earth's pioneering institution for interspecies education. Marcus Chun juggled his tablet, coffee, and backpack as he navigated the crowded amphitheater-style seating, searching for a spot in the increasingly packed advanced quantum mechanics class. He'd heard Professor Thane was brilliant but demanding, and Marcus wanted to make a good impression. Finally spotting an empty seat near the middle, he quickly set his coffee down on the small desk and turned to shove his backpack underneath the chair. That's when it happened. The weight came suddenly, pressing him down into the seat with surprising force. Marcus gasped, his eyes widening as he realized someone had just sat directly on his lap, or rather, someone had sat in what they thought was an empty chair. Not realizing he'd been bent over retrieving his bag. "Oh, my apologies," a melodious voice said above him, tinged with an accent he couldn't quite place. Marcus looked up and his breath caught. The person now settled comfortably across his legs was stunning, her skin a rich, vibrant purple that seemed to shimmer slightly under the lecture hall lights, contrasting beautifully with a cascade of long, wavy black hair that tumbled past her shoulders. Her dark eyes were bright with curiosity rather than embarrassment, and she wore the easy confidence of someone completely comfortable in her own skin. Marcus stammered, his face burning as he became acutely aware of everywhere their bodies touched. "You're sitting on me." The alien girl tilted her head, looking down as if just now noticing the problem. "Oh yes, so I am." She smiled, revealing perfectly white teeth. "Is this not a shared seat? I thought perhaps with so many students." No, definitely not shared," Marcus managed, his voice cracking slightly. He could feel the curious stares of nearby students, some amused, others scandalized. "Could you maybe move?" "Of course." She stood gracefully, her movements fluid and unhurried, completely unbothered by the situation that had Marcus's heart hammering in his chest. She gestured to the empty seat beside him. "Is this one available, or is there a claiming ritual I should observe first?" Marcus couldn't help but laugh at that, some of his tension breaking. "No ritual. It's all yours." She settled into the chair with a satisfied smile, arranging her own belongings with careful precision. "I am Zilara from the Andromedan colony of Pristalis. This is my first semester studying xenocultural anthropology here on Earth." "Marcus," he replied, still trying to regulate his breathing. "Engineering major. Also first semester, but I'm just from California." Zilara's eyes lit up with interest. "California? I have read extensively about your regional customs. Tell me, is it true that your people worship the sun through a ritual called beach-going?" Before Marcus could answer, Professor Thane entered, a tall, crystalline being whose body refracted the light into small rainbows. The class fell silent. "Welcome to Advanced Quantum Mechanics." The professor's voice resonated through the hall without need for microphones. "Here, you will learn that the universe is far stranger than any of us, human or otherwise, can possibly imagine." Marcus tried to focus on the introduction, but his attention kept drifting to Zilara beside him. She sat with perfect posture, taking notes on a holographic display that floated above her desk, occasionally tucking her black wavy hair behind her ear. The movement drew his eye every time, and he found himself memorizing the way the purple skin of her neck curved into her shoulder. When she caught him staring the third time, she smiled warm and knowing and whispered, "This sitting on humans custom. Is it perhaps something more than I understood?" Marcus felt his face flush again. "Yeah," he whispered back. "Definitely more complicated than you understood." But as she returned to her notes, that small smile still playing at her lips. Marcus realized something unexpected. He was already looking forward to explaining exactly how complicated it was. The coffee shop near campus had become their unofficial meeting spot over the following 2 weeks. Marcus had suggested it after their second quantum mechanics class, ostensibly to study together, but truthfully because he couldn't stop thinking about the purple-skinned girl who'd literally dropped into his life. Zelora arrived with her usual confident stride, her black wavy hair catching the afternoon sunlight streaming through the windows. She wore earth clothing now, a fitted sweater that complemented her purple skin in ways that made Marcus's concentration evaporate, but she still moved with that otherworldly grace that turned heads wherever she went. "I brought the readings on quantum entanglement," she announced, sliding into the booth beside him rather than across from him. Her thigh pressed against his, warm through the fabric of their clothes. Marcus shifted slightly, trying to create a respectful distance. There's plenty of room on the other side, ... Zelora looked genuinely confused. "But we are studying together. On Pristalis, we believe physical proximity enhances learning. The sharing of warmth and energy promotes better focus." She tilted her head, her dark eyes searching his face. "Does this make you uncomfortable?" "No. I mean ... yes?" "It's complicated." Marcus fumbled with his tablet, pulling up their assignment. "On Earth, we have different ideas about personal space. Sitting this close usually means ... something." "Means what?" Zelora leaned closer, genuinely curious, and Marcus caught the subtle scent of something floral and exotic. "That two people are ... involved, romantically, intimately." The words felt clumsy in his mouth. Zelora's eyes widened with fascination. "How intriguing! So physical proximity is reserved only for mating pairs? What about friends? Family units?" "Well, they're different. There are levels." Marcus tried to explain, but found himself distracted by how intently she listened, how her hand had come to rest naturally on his forearm as they talked. Over the next hour, they barely touched their coursework. Instead, Zelora peppered him with questions about human courtship rituals, dating customs, and the intricate dance of attraction. Marcus found himself explaining everything from first dates to what it meant when someone held your hand, all while hyper-aware of every point where their bodies touched. "So when I sat on you that first day," Zelora mused, a playful glint in her eye, "I was essentially performing what you would call a very forward romantic gesture." Marcus laughed, some of his nervousness finally easing. "Extremely forward, yeah? And yet you did not reject me. You even sought my company afterward." She studied him with an intensity that made his pulse quicken. "Why?" The question hung between them, suddenly serious. Marcus met her gaze, seeing curiosity there, yes, but also something else, something that mirrored the pull he felt. "Because you're brilliant," he said honestly, "and funny, and you see the world in ways I never considered. And ... He hesitated, then committed, "Because you're beautiful, Zelora. Even before you sat on me, I'd noticed you." Her purple skin deepened slightly in hue, a blush, he realized. "On Pristalis, we value honesty above all social niceties." "I appreciate your directness, Marcus." She paused, then added softly, "I find you attractive as well. Your mind, your kindness. And yes, your physical form pleases me." The air between them seemed to thicken. Other coffee shop patrons faded into background noise. "So what do we do about it?" Marcus asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Zelora smiled, that confident expression he was coming to adore. "On my world, we would simply declare our interest and explore compatibility. But this is Earth, and I am learning your customs. So perhaps..." She lifted her hand from his arm and extended it palm up. "We start with this? You mentioned hand-holding as a significant gesture. Marcus looked at her offered hand-purple skin, delicate fingers, an entire universe of difference and possibility. He took it, lacing their fingers together, marveling at how perfectly they fit. "This is a good start," he agreed. Zilara laughed, the sound like music. "Your heart rate just increased. I can feel your pulse." She squeezed his hand gently. "This hand-holding is quite effective." "Yeah," Marcus breathed, unable to look away from her. "It really is." They sat like that for another hour, hands clasped, supposedly studying but mostly just talking, learning each other's rhythms, testing the space where two worlds might meet. And when they finally left the coffee shop, still holding hands, Marcus realized he was falling for someone from another galaxy, and he didn't mind one bit. The university library at midnight was a cathedral of silence and shadow, the only illumination coming from study pod lights scattered across the vast floors. Marcus had reserved one of the private pods on the 4th level ostensibly because they needed to work on Professor Thane's impossibly complex assignment on dimensional theory. But he couldn't deny the thrill of knowing they'd be alone. Zilara arrived 10 minutes late, her black wavy hair slightly disheveled from the wind outside, her purple skin glowing faintly in the dim light. She carried 2 bottles of some crystalline beverage that sparkled faintly blue. "Peace offering for my tardiness," she said, handing him one as she entered the small study pod. The door whispered shut behind her, enclosing them in their own private world. The quantum harmonics in the eastern quadrant were particularly beautiful tonight. "I got distracted watching them." "You can see quantum harmonics?" Marcus asked, fascinated as always by the differences between them. "Most crystallines can. It is like seeing music, I suppose." She settled onto the small couch beside him, closer than necessary, he noted, though by now he'd stopped moving away. Over the past 3 weeks, her casual touches had become something he anticipated, craved even. They'd been officially dating by Earth standards for a week now, though what that meant remained wonderfully undefined. Hand-holding, long conversations, study sessions that turned into deep discussions about everything and nothing. Marcus had never felt so intellectually and emotionally connected to someone, but the physical tension between them had been building, a current that ran beneath every interaction. Tonight felt different, charged. They worked in companionable silence for nearly an hour, their tablets displaying complex equations and theoretical models. Zilara shifted positions frequently. She'd explained that crystallines had difficulty staying still for long periods, and each movement brought her incrementally closer until her shoulder pressed firmly against his. "Marcus," she said suddenly, her voice quieter than usual. "May I ask you something personal?" "Always," he replied, setting down his stylus. "These past weeks, learning your courtship customs, I have observed something." She turned to face him fully, tucking one leg underneath her in a way that brought their faces within inches of each other. "You hold yourself back. Even when I can feel your desire, yes, I can sense it. The way your breathing changes, how your skin temperature rises, you maintain careful distance." Marcus swallowed hard. "I didn't want to assume anything. Our cultures are different, and I didn't know what you wanted." "What I want," Zilara interrupted gently, reaching up to trace her fingers along his jawline, "is to stop wondering what it feels like to kiss you." His heart hammered against his ribs. "Zilara, on Pristalis, we believe in clear consent and honest communication. So I am telling you clearly, I want to kiss you, Marcus Chun. I want to explore this attraction between us. But only if you want the same." Her dark eyes searched his, vulnerable despite her confident words. "Do you?" Instead of answering, Marcus closed the small distance between them, capturing her lips with his. The kiss started tentative, exploratory, two people from different worlds learning each other's language. Zilara made a small sound of surprise that melted into pleasure, her hand sliding from his jaw into his hair. She tasted like starlight and the sweet crystalline drink. And when her lips parted beneath his, Marcus felt like he was falling through space. Her other hand found his chest, fingers splaying over his racing heart, and she smiled against his mouth. "I was right," she murmured, pulling back just enough to speak. "I have been wanting to do that since the moment I sat on you." Marcus laughed breathlessly. "Best accident ever." "Not an accident," she admitted, her purple skin darkening with that blush he'd learned to recognize. "Not entirely. I had seen you before that day. I may have deliberately chosen that seat." "You," Marcus started, but she kissed him again, deeper this time, and all thoughts of playful accusation evaporated. Her body shifted closer, and suddenly she was straddling his lap, an echo of that first meeting, but entirely different. Intentional and electric. Her black wavy hair fell around them like a curtain, creating an intimate cocoon. Marcus's hands found her waist, feeling the warmth of her through the thin fabric of her sweater, and Xylora's fingers traced patterns on his shoulders that made him shiver. "Is this appropriate?" she whispered against his lips. "Am I following your Earth customs correctly?" "Perfectly," Marcus breathed, sliding his hands up her back, feeling her arch into the touch. "You're doing everything perfectly." They kissed until time became meaningless, until the library and the world outside their study pod faded into irrelevance. Zilara taught him that when crystallines were deeply aroused, their skin emitted a soft bioluminescent glow, a fact that became apparent as she pressed closer, her purple skin casting gentle lavender light around them. "We should probably actually study," Marcus murmured eventually, though he made no move to separate from her. Zilara laughed softly, pressing one more kiss to his lips. "We are studying cross-species compatibility research. Very important scientific work. Is that what we're calling it? Would you prefer making out? I learned that term in my xenocultural linguistics class." Her eyes sparkled with mischief. Marcus pulled her close again, his smile wide and genuine. "I prefer whatever keeps you exactly where you are." And as they returned to kissing, the dimensional theory assignment forgotten on the couch beside them, Marcus realized that some equations didn't need solving, some connections simply existed. Perfect and true, bridging the space between worlds. The rain hammered against Marcus's apartment windows, creating a cocoon of sound that isolated them from the rest of the world. It had been 6 weeks since their first kiss in the library, 6 weeks of growing closer in every way that mattered. Tonight, Zilara had come over for what they'd planned as a simple dinner and movie night. But the air between them hummed with unspoken possibility. She stood by the window now, watching the rain trace patterns down the glass, her purple skin luminous in the soft lamplight. Her black wavy hair was loose tonight, cascading down her back in a way that made Marcus's fingers itch to touch it. She'd worn a simple dress deep violet that complemented her coloring, and Marcus had barely been able to focus on cooking. "On Pristalis we have no rain," Zilara said softly. "Water comes from underground springs and morning condensation. This ... She gestured to the storm outside. "Feels like the planet is crying. Or singing. I cannot decide which." Marcus came up behind her, close enough to feel her warmth but not quite touching. They'd spent weeks learning each other's boundaries, each other's desires, building towards something both of them wanted, but neither had rushed. Tonight felt different, like a threshold waiting to be crossed. "Singing, I think," Marcus said quietly. "Definitely singing." Zilara turned, and the look in her dark eyes made his breath catch. "Marcus, I need to tell you something." "Okay," he said, trying to ignore the nervous flutter in his chest. "On my world, when two people decide to become intimate, There is a ritual. We call it the showing. Each person reveals themselves fully, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. We share our fears, our hopes, our truths. She reached out, taking his hand. I want that with you. All of it. If you want the same. Marcus brought her hand to his lips, kissing her knuckles gently. I want everything with you, Zilara. I want to make sure we do this right. That I don't hurt you or misunderstand something cultural. She smiled, stepping closer until her body pressed against his. Then we learned together. That is what we have always done, yes? He cupped her face in his hands, thumbs tracing the elegant line of her cheekbones. I'm falling in love with you. I need you to know that. This isn't just physical for me. Her skin brightened, that bioluminescent glow blooming across her face and neck. And I am already in love with you, Marcus-chun. I have been for weeks. I was simply waiting for the right moment to say it. They came together in a kiss that felt like a promise, like the sealing of something sacred. Marcus felt Xylara's hands slide under his shirt, her touch sending electricity racing across his skin. He responded in kind, fingers finding the zipper of her dress, pausing to meet her eyes in silent question. Yes, she whispered. Please, yes. The dress pooled at her feet, revealing purple skin that glowed softly in the dim light. She was breathtaking, every curve and plane a work of art. Marcus shed his own clothes with trembling hands, hyper-aware of her gaze tracking his movements. You are beautiful, Zilara breathed, stepping close again. So different from crystalline males, but beautiful. They moved to his bedroom, learning each other through touch and whispered words. Zilara explained how crystalline physiology worked, what brought pleasure, what to avoid. Marcus shared his own knowledge, his own vulnerabilities. Every kiss, every caress was an act of discovery and trust. When they finally came together, it was slow and careful, two people bridging the space between worlds with patience and love. Zilara's glow intensified as her pleasure built, bathing them both in soft lavender light. Marcus found himself mesmerized by the play of luminescence across her skin, the way her black hair spread across his pillows like dark silk. Marcus, she gasped, her back arching as he found a rhythm that made her breath hitch. By the stars, Marcus ... He kissed her deeply, swallowing her moans, feeling her body respond to his with an intensity that left him breathless. When she cried out his name in her moment of release, her entire body blazed with light so bright he had to close his eyes. And the beauty of it pushed him over the edge into his own completion. Afterward, they lay tangled together, her head on his chest, his fingers tracing lazy patterns through her hair. The rain continued its symphony outside, but inside they had found their own perfect harmony. In crystalline tradition, Zilara murmured sleepily, when two people complete the showing, they are considered bonded. Not married, exactly, but connected in a way that transcends simple partnership. Marcus pressed a kiss to her forehead. I like the sound of that. Being bonded to you. She tilted her head up to meet his gaze, her smile radiant even as her glow faded to a soft shimmer. Then we are bonded, Marcus-chun, in your tradition and mine. Two worlds meeting in the space between. The best space, he agreed, pulling her closer as they drifted toward sleep, wrapped in each other's warmth. Marcus realized that what had started as an awkward mistake had become the most right thing in his life. Sometimes the universe conspired in the strangest ways to bring two people together, even when those people came from different stars. The university auditorium was packed to capacity, students and faculty from dozens of species filling every available seat. Marcus stood backstage, adjusting his tie for the 5th time, while Zilara remained perfectly calm beside him. Her black, wavy hair swept into an elegant style that showcased her purple skin. You are nervous, she observed, taking his hand and squeezing gently. We're about to present our personal relationship as an academic case study in front of 300 people. Yeah, I'm nervous, Marcus admitted. It had been Zalora's idea to turn their experience into their final project for Introduction to Interspecies Relations. What had started as a simple paper had evolved into a comprehensive presentation on the challenges and rewards of cross-cultural intimacy, complete with interviews, research, and personal testimony. The response had been overwhelming. Professor Thane had called it groundbreaking work and suggested they present it at the semester-ending symposium. Now here they were, about to share the most intimate details of their relationship with the entire university community. We are pioneers, Zilara said softly, her dark eyes meeting his. Not because we are the first human and crystalline to fall in love, though we may be, but because we are willing to be visible, to show others that connection transcends biology. Pioneers or crazy people, Marcus muttered, but he was smiling. Perhaps both, she agreed, then kissed him quickly. Come, it is time. They walked onto the stage together to thunderous applause. The projection screen behind them lit up with their title, Bridging Worlds, a Case Study in Cross-Species Intimacy and Cultural Navigation. Marcus took the podium first, his nervousness fading as he fell into the familiar rhythm of their presentation. When I walked into advanced quantum mechanics on the first day of semester, I never expected to become a case study. But then again, I also never expected someone to literally sit on me. Laughter rippled through the audience. Beside him, Zylora's skin brightened with amusement. What seemed like an embarrassing mistake became the foundation for something extraordinary, Marcus continued. Our relationship has challenged every assumption I had about connection, compatibility, and love. Today, we want to share what we've learned. Zilora stepped forward, her voice clear and confident. In crystalline culture, physical closeness is normalized in ways that Earth culture finds intimate. This created immediate friction, or rather, immediate attraction complicated by cultural misunderstanding. She smiled at Marcus. But it also created opportunity for dialogue, for learning, for growth. They alternated presenting their findings, the importance of clear communication, the necessity of cultural humility, the beauty of finding middle ground between different traditions. They shared statistics from their surveys of other interspecies couples, patterns they'd identified in successful relationships, recommendations for future students navigating similar situations. But the heart of the presentation came when they showed a video they'd recorded the previous week. On the screen, they sat side by side, holding hands. Tell me about your first impression of Marcus, the off-screen interviewer asked Zilara. I thought he was handsome, Video Zilara said honestly. But more than that, I sensed kindness in him, curiosity. When I sat on his, deliberately, I wanted to see how he would react to the unexpected. Would he be angry? Disgusted? Instead, he was flustered but gracious. That told me everything I needed to know. And Marcus, your first impression of Zilara? Video Marcus laughed. I thought she was the most beautiful person I'd ever seen, and completely terrifying in how confident she was. I'm an engineer. I like things that make sense, that follow predictable patterns. Zilara was chaos and wonder and everything unpredictable. I was fascinated immediately. The video continued with them discussing their relationship milestones, the challenges they'd faced, the moments of profound connection. The auditorium remained completely silent, hundreds of beings from dozens of worlds watching two people from different stars navigate love. When the video ended, Zilara returned to the podium. Our relationship is not perfect. We still misunderstand each other. I still sometimes forget that humans need more personal space than crystallines. Marcus still worries about saying or doing the wrong thing culturally. But we have learned that real love is not about perfection. It is about choosing each other every day, across every difference. Marcus joined her, and without planning it, she sat on his lap, a deliberate callback to their first meeting that made the audience erupt in delighted laughter and applause. What started as a misunderstanding, Marcus said, his arms wrapped comfortably around her waist, became the best thing that ever happened to me. And isn't that the real lesson? That our differences, cultural, biological, experiential, don't have to divide us. They can enrich us if we approach them with openness and love. The standing ovation lasted nearly 5 minutes. As they left the stage, hands clasped, Marcus felt the weight of what they'd accomplished. Not just the presentation, but everything it represented, two people from different worlds choosing to build something new together. Later, in the celebration that followed, Professor Thane approached them, the crystalline being's body refracting the party lights into rainbows. "Remarkable work, both of you," the professor said. "You have given this university something precious, proof that connection is possible across any divide. I hope you know how significant that is." "We're just two people who fell in love," Marcus said. "No," Zillara corrected gently, smiling up at him. "We are two people who chose love, despite every obstacle. There is a difference." As the party continued around them, they slipped outside onto the quiet campus quad. The stars were brilliant overhead Earth's familiar constellations, mixed with the new navigation beacons that helped alien students find their way. "Do you ever regret it?" Marcus asked quietly. "Coming to Earth, choosing this complicated path?" Zillara turned to him, her purple skin glowing softly in the starlight, her black wavy hair lifted by the gentle breeze. "Marcus-chan, sitting on you that first day was the best decision I ever made, even if it was disguised as an accident." He pulled her close, kissing her thoroughly. "For the record, I'm really glad you're a terrible liar." She laughed against his lips. "I never claimed to be good at deception, only at knowing what I want." "And what do you want?" he asked, though he knew the answer. "This," she said simply. "You? Us, all of it. Forever, if you will have me." "Forever sounds perfect," Marcus agreed above them. The stars watched, witnesses to a love that proved the universe was smaller than anyone thought, that home wasn't a planet but a person, and that sometimes the best things in life began with a simple misunderstanding and a willingness to learn what it meant. They stood there together, two hearts beating as one, two worlds meeting in the infinite space between stars. Proof that love needed no translation, and that connection could bloom anywhere, even in a crowded lecture hall where a purple-skinned girl with black wavy hair once sat on a human boy and changed both their lives forever. The end.